What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, Meeple People, and today we have a book haul video in store for you. I have recently purchased 4 books from Amazon, and they just came in yesterday, so that's always, it's like a small little Christmas in September type feel. So we are going to just jump right into it. There's not going to be much more to this video but the actual books themselves. So we're going to start first with X Heroes by Peter Clines. This book is, if you want to think of a combination, it's a combination of the Avengers or any kind of superheroes mixed with zombies, like kind of mixed with The Walking Dead, if you will. So there's pretty much a zombie outbreak, and it's kind of like, obviously, any other zombie thing, you know, outbreaks across the world, across the nation. And it's really up to these superheroes to kind of stay alive and bring peace, or whatever you like to call it, to the world itself. I'm a big Second and Charles fan. If you've ever been to Second and Charles, it's like a used kind of, it's almost like a GameStop kind of thing, but Second and Charles is much better than GameStop because its primary focus is books, and they most of the time don't rip you off of trade-ins and stuff. But to focus on the main thing, I actually saw future books in this series. I don't know if there's more on here. I think Expatriate was one. I think like X, I don't even remember what the other X's were. They all have like X in the name. Oh, here they are. They're on the last page here. I'm gonna look at them real quick. Expatriates, Excommunication, Expurgatory, and Exile. So there's a good bit of books in the series. There's 5 so far, I believe. But every time I went to Second and Charles, I could not find the first one. The first one was not there. You can't really get upset in that situation, though, because, they can only go off the inventory that gets traded into them or where they buy it from. So they just never really got their hands on the first one. So I actually got a hold of a gift card and was able to use that towards X Heroes. And now I have that on my bookshelf, and I can't wait to read it. It's on my TBR. My TBR is quite long right now, but it's definitely I'm definitely going to get to it. Next we have Contagion by Terry. That was a science fiction book. I'll try to go through the actual genres. This is the Contagion book. This is young adult, but it's also a sci-fi type book. What happens is, it's just like X Years, there's an outbreak of a disease, a very, very painful, suffering-filled disease. There's a child in this that they do kind of experiments on, and the child ends up being immune to the actual disease itself, but is kind of like infected. So they're kind of like in this dead state of where they're still alive, so they can communicate to the dead, but also obviously communicate to the living. So they're in this weird like in-between state, and they've been on the run for, I think, like a couple years or something like that. Her brother is happening to try to hunt her down to find her, and they're just trying to outrun this epidemic. It looked really cool when I saw it at Barnes & Noble. Obviously, look at this artwork. The artwork is beautiful on the front cover of it. Anything with like the nuclear sign is gonna pull me in, because I think it's the most interesting thing, interesting concept to like kind of focus around. But it looks like a very pretty book. Pretty book. Let me enunciate a little bit there. And it's part of the Dark Matter trilogy, so there are more to come on this one. This is book 1. I don't know if the other books are in here. I'm trying not to look through like everything and kind of derail the momentum, but yeah, it doesn't really have the other ones on here. Maybe in the back somewhere. No? Okay. Well, we tried. Contagion by Terry. I would check it out. It looks really good. It's a little pricey, I believe. I got it for $17.99 on Amazon. X Heroes, I think, was $9.99 on Amazon. But there you go, Contagion. It's not. I did not see it at like a Second and Charles or anything. At least the one that's by me, I didn't see. It's fairly new, I believe, though. This next one, though, I'm very excited to read. It is going to be pretty high up on my TBR, and that is Gardens of the Moon A Tale of the Malazan Book of the Fallen. I have heard this recommended on, I listened to this podcast called PKA. If you have not watched or listened to PKA, I recommend it. It's very funny, great content. If you're easily offended, though, I would not recommend it. I know they do say some pretty like edgy stuff, I guess. So if you're easily offended, and I'm not trying to be like judgmental or anything, I'm just kind of trying to give that warning of, hey, like, you know, you might not want to listen to this. It might not be your thing, which is fine. I mean, people are like that. It's is what it is. It's fine. But this is Gardens of the Moon by Steven Erikson. This is obviously, you know, a pretty cover. Like, look at this. You have this this like tower kind of castle thing. That looks like, you know, full moon midnight. I mean, it's beautiful. It is a fantasy story. This is something I read over the back of the cover, and I don't really know too much about like the whole story of it. I just know that it's really good. When they talked about it on the podcast, they didn't want to give too much information away about it. And I'm trying to get into the world of fantasy. I've heard this is a really difficult read, but it's worth it. Like, the experience of reading this book is worth it. So I'm very happy that I got a chance to pick this up. And it is on my TBR. I'm really not sure where it's going to be. Probably relatively high, though, to dive in to the whole fantasy world. That's a world that I haven't really been able to get into yet. It's been more of, honestly, just sci-fi. Like, the last book I read was Wool by Hugh Halley. That's a great book. I rated it, I think, 4 stars. I don't know if I'm going to do a video review. I think I'm going to do a video review of my next video, which is Arcadia, my next book that I'm reading, which is Arcadia. I'm almost about halfway through that one. It's a very good book as well. It's kind of like, it's very like modern and video game centric. Like, it has to do with a lot of kind of like issues that are in today's news, today's society, which is, you know, I mean, you can look at it as that's a great thing. You can look at it as a bad thing. I thought it was like easily relatable and a very quick read too. Like, I'm getting through this thing very quickly, so I can't wait to finish this and see what's next for that author, because I like his writing style. I find a enjoyable time reading that. But that is the third book. We are on to the fourth and final one. This is also recommended by the people at the PKA podcast. I would check them out. They're not like books or anything like that. They're not like a book podcast, I'll tell you that. It's more of like a comedy podcast. But this was actually recommended by Harley from Epic Mealtime. He was a guest on there, and he recommended The Three-Body Problem. I looked up the author's name. I really don't want to be disrespectful and murder his name trying to say it. So I'm not going to attempt it. I'm not going to do it. So this is, but I'm trying to be respectful by doing that. Like, I don't want to really mess up his name. I tried to look up, you know how like you can look up certain words or certain names and it'll show you the actual like enunciation or pronunciation of it. But I could not find one for his name, unfortunately. But it's a sci-fi novel, so this kind of goes back to my wheelhouse. I've heard it's a really tough read, so I'm challenging myself in these books that I'm picking, I believe, except for maybe the first 2, X Heroes and Contagion. Probably aren't as complex as Gardens of the Moon, and which I always want to say Guardians for some reason, but it's Gardens of the Moon and The Three-Body Problem. I've heard The Three-Body Problem is insane. Like, you have to read it maybe a couple times to kind of get things. So I'm very perplexed by it that I decided to take on this challenge, but I've heard such good things about it that I needed to take it on. And I'm just, you know, happy to get a good selection out here. So that is going to end this book haul video. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Unfortunately, I don't really have any like mystery things that are coming for books. I did get Used Book Monthly last month. I think I got it this month too, which I haven't really settled on whether or not I like that service or not. I'll probably put up an unboxing video on this channel about it, but who knows, you know? I don't even really know sometimes. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Remember to check out my Instagram. It will be linked in the description below. If you enjoy the content, like and subscribe, and ring that bell for any notification when I upload. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Peace.